Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for HeavyGoshDarn.com, baby. And man, we just don't stop. Won't stop. It just can't happen. We just had former NFL general manager Randy Mueller on the show. Make sure you guys check it out on the YouTube channel if you didn't already. Fantastic insight on the juggling balls that Joe Douglas did in the wide receiver room. Guys coming in, guys going out, new guys coming in. Really cool insight from Randy Mueller, from a former NFL general manager. Guys, feel free to check that out. Again, we're streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. The Facebook page, of course, Heavy on Jets, 31,000 New York Jet fans. Thanks for joining us. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, baby. And of course, on my Twitter account, at the Jets_zone. Boy Green still hacked. We'll hopefully get to hear back from that at some point. But that's neither here nor there. We've got a ton of juicy stuff to get into. Let's welcome in my special guest, New York Jets guru, host of the Turn on the Jets podcast. He is Will Parkinson, the Golden Boy, gracing us with his presence. What's up, Willie?
How you doing, man?
Well, Will, I have to say right off the start, as much as I'd like the juices flowing, titillating all over the place, on a very serious note, our love is sent out to you right now, Will, and your entire family. I know you guys are going through it. I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, man, we're all thinking about you. And I hope you know that you got a great support system with Jets Land. I know that doesn't fully answer everything for you, but we're just here for you, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of crazy week or two, but no, I really appreciate it. And you and Buffalo Jets doing a little fundraiser and stuff was really cool. So very much me and my brothers very much appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Hey, man, whatever peanuts we could try to kind of throw into the pot. There's some wonderful people that are doing some great work to help support you guys in your obvious time of need. So it's awesome. If you guys don't know, I believe that GoFundMe is still going live. So I'll make sure I throw that in the link as well so you guys can show some love. We'll do that a little bit later in the show. But, Will, let's dive in here. There is all kinds of rumors and all kinds of crazy buzz going on. Guys, feel free to jump into the comment section. We'll go to the latest news, of which Ezekiel Elliott, the former Dallas Cowboys running back who has all of a sudden been thrust into free agency. Well, a little bit of a Shefty bomb here that Zeke has narrowed down his final three. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Jets, and the Cincinnati Bengals, and he would like to make his decision by the end of next week. And as Schefter mentions, some of the interesting notes. Again, the Eagles did that with DeMarco Murray, stealing him from a division rival. Aaron Rodgers being this alluring thing for a lot of different players. And for those who don't remember, Joe Burrow at Ohio State in 2015 when Zeke was there. So a little bit of a connection there. Let's dive into the Zeke thing. And one of the most interesting things is twofold. First off, for all our Vegas people, in the bio on YouTube, Ezekiel, I wrote an article about it over the weekend. I just thought it was interesting. The Jets were wanting the betting favorites for Ezekiel Elliott, and now all of a sudden we're hearing like Zeke today, and Jet fans are losing their gosh darn minds. But there was a little bit of buzz over the weekend that kind of went under the radar. But, Will, I loved what you tweeted, my friend. The LaDainian Tomlinson comp. I mean, it was juicy, baby. It got my juices flowing because everyone's thinking about the possibilities with Aaron Rodgers, man. All of a sudden he dropped LT, and all of a sudden I was like, interesting, very interesting, Mr. Will Parkinson. You got the mind flowing, man.
Yeah, no, it's look, Zeke's obviously not the player he used to be, and
sure,
they haven't even signed him yet. So the outrage of people are happy,
right,
people who are pissed, and Michael Carter is having a little moment on Twitter there, retweeting how he's not appreciated. The Jets weren't great in short yardage last year, and they need a guy who's good in pass protection that they can trust early on in the year. Zeke's won a bunch of rushing titles. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Is he Ezekiel Elliott even 2 years ago? No. Zeke is probably 85% cooked. To be fair, LT was like 95% cooked when he left the Chargers. And I'm not saying they're going to be the same impact, right, if he even signs here. But he would allow you, to have a guy, again, Zeke, I think, had 16 touchdowns last year, 12 on the ground, four through the air. The Jets. I don't even know if the Jets scored 16 touchdowns last year. So, let's not scoff at that. Again, short yardage, third down back. He's a guy that can complement. He allows you early on in the year to not maybe rush Breece Hall back, and maybe it's Michael Carter, Zeke, and Ty Johnson and Bam Knight, and those are your four backs, and you play three of them, and giving Aaron Rodgers a veteran presence early on in the year, just someone that's like been there, done that he trusts, especially in pass pro. I can't stress that enough. every single person I've talked to at the Packers that have been on the pod, in the last couple of weeks, make sure you protect Aaron Rodgers. That's paramount, right? Having, the Leonard Fournette and, in Tampa Bay is another one, right? I think Zeke's a better player than Fournette ever was. But again, it's the principle of a trusted veteran. He's going to be like the veteran minimum. It's going to be a 1-year deal. There's not really a downside. Michael Carter wasn't great last year. Bam Knight had a couple of really nice flashes, and then he got banged up and then kind of didn't look the same. Ty Johnson kind of feels like he comes and goes. He looks bad early on in the year, and then for some reason, always at the end of the year, he has these like really nice games. So Breece Hall's coming off an ACL. I don't think it's fair to expect him day one to be Breece Hall that he looked like, at the end of the year. And all those other guys are cheaper, younger players. Zeke's going to be a cheap, younger player. Let's see if he even picks signs with the Jets, right? Like there's this whole, like, everyone's freaking out already, but let's get to the numbers game and all those different things and who dresses on Sundays. The Jets get Zeke. He's probably going to be like a 6 to 8 carry a game guy, mostly short yardage, maybe some early downs, and he'll be a third down pass pro guy. He'll probably score 8 touchdowns and have 300 total yards. And as long as he scores it, we talked about this last year with even James Robinson's obviously not Zeke, but James Robinson wasn't good here. But guess what? He had one really nice game against the Bills, and that was a huge game in the season. And for a 6th-round pick, it was probably worth it, right? So for the veteran minimum, if the Jets get another star and it's just helping Aaron Rodgers, come here and whatever, and maybe give Zeke back 15 and he looks like the Zeke of old for a couple weeks. I don't know. I don't really see the downside. Again, I think the Jets being in a position where Hall of Fame level players want to come ring chase with them shows you where this roster's at. I think that's the biggest thing. And again, short yardage, pass pro, spell guys at points. I think that's all you would really be asking from him. And I think he could be very effective. He's the 2nd highest graded running back in pass pro last year, I believe. Obviously, he's not Zeke of old on 1st and 2nd down, but 3rd down pass pro. That's where I think you would see him be really effective.
Will, fun piece of trivia here, because you had no idea this was coming. Obviously, I just saw the tweet. What age do you either know or believe LaDainian Tomlinson was when he signed with the Jets? What do you think? How old do you think he was?
31.
That's right. You nailed it, because, of course, you're gosh darn Will Parkinson, baby. Of course you knew the answer to that question. Next question is the lotto numbers for later this week, but we'll do that off air so I can retire comfortably at the age of 29. However, the other thing is, Zeke, people, I know this may blow your friggin' minds. Ezekiel Elliott is 27. 27. Okay? Yeah. See, Will's face just went, no way. He's 27. He does turn 28 over the summer, but still, he's 27. And I think our minds are warped because it's the Dallas Cowboys. So Zeke is shoved down our throat every week. He was at the Ohio State. So then he's in your face. People don't realize how young he still is. And to your point, again, I don't think he has to come in here and be the second coming. And I think a lot of people are confused. I've been trying to explain this for weeks, that the Jets are legitimately looking at the running back position from everyone I've talked to. And the reason being is Breece Hall's coming off a torn ACL. People inside the building think he's going to be ready week 1. People outside the building sure as hell don't think so. I think they're going to be super cautious with him. And then, okay, they re-signed Ty Johnson today. Okay, I'm surprised we didn't do a live stream on that, quite frankly. Go figure. But you have him, Michael Carter coming off a bad year. And what else are we talking about in the backfield, people? They need another body. And not only a body, I think Zeke could be great in goal line situation, great in short yardage. And I think Zeke also has somewhat of an untapped passing game. Now, again, I'm not saying he's Marshall Faulk or anything, but when you look at his numbers, there's a little bit more to be had, certainly in the screen game as well. And my dad is a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. So I've seen like every Zeke game that's ever been in the history of NFL ever. So I'm just very familiar with Zeke. And I think he'd just be the perfect everything for this team. I've seen people in the comments questioning the locker room stuff and what he can bring. I don't know, man. From everything I've heard from Cowboys people, jovial personality. The teammates love him, and I think he'd be a great addition to the locker room. Again, it's not a signing. It's just he's in the final 3. We'll see what they say, but it shows you the Aaron Rodgers allure that you said, Will, that people just want to come ring chase with the Jets. Ring chase, Jets haven't won a Super Bowl in 54 years. Let that marinate for a second. I mean, come on, people. It's great.
Yeah, again, like I said, I just don't really get the downside. He doesn't choose the Jets. He doesn't choose the Jets. I still don't think they're like fully set at running back. I think they have a good room. I don't think it's perfect. They're very small. The Jets are a small team. I know Connor pointed this out on Badlands, I believe, at some point. I don't know.
Great point.
It was this
yeah,
week.
Yesterday.
They were a really small team last year, right? Like they're a small team. So not that Brees is small, obviously, and Bam Knight runs really hard, but they're not like, they don't have this big bruising back. Maybe that's just what they want him to be, right? Like you mentioned, again, the guy, they're not giving Zeke $15 million a year. This is not
Right.
like, that's why like last year with the Cowboys, people were frustrated because Tony Pollard's the better back and he was making way less money. Play the guy that's better, all that type of stuff. That's not going to be the situation here. He's a running back 2. Maybe he's a running back 3. He's your third down guy in pass pro, and he's your goal line back. And then Michael Carter and Breece Hall, your first and second down guys, and Bam Knight and Ty Johnson are kind of there in reserve. Like, that's a really good running back room. That's like the same thing at receiver. I saw it yesterday. It's like you signed McCole Hardman. It's like, who can we cut? Who can we trade? Like, guys get hurt. If you know anything about the Jets, at least half that room will get hurt at some point. So why not have more guys? There's no reason, like, just because you sign a guy doesn't mean you instantly have to cut somebody else at the same position. That's not really how these things work. Look at the good rosters around the NFL. They have depth and high-end talent. The Jets have that high-end talent. They're probably just trying to build a little bit of depth, and kind of a reliable guy behind Brees.
100%. And speaking of running backs, I want to throw this up on the screen. I'm not sure if you saw this. I just got sent this from my group a little bit ago. Michael Carter going to Twitter at AK Mike, talking about the Elijah Moore situation, saying, quote, proud of my dog E. Moore, stood all the way on 10. Not everybody knows the whole story. It's really none of y'all business anyway. Everyone about to see what we've been knowing. 8 is elite, end quote. Will, I don't know if you could shed any light on this. I feel like I need a personal interpreter for trying to interpret what the hell tweets mean, but not knowing the whole story. What is, because let's, of course, move to the Elijah Moore news that also came in of him being traded to the Cleveland Browns following the news of the Mecole Hardman trade. What is the whole story? What are we missing here, Will, on Elijah Moore not apparently working out with the Jets and it apparently being some part of a hidden story thing?
Yeah, that was I think Zach Rosenblatt had it. There was a lot of stuff. We kind of all heard that the rumblings of the telling Mike LaFleur to F off and not liking Zach Wilson and all these different things. They obviously were super close. That was like that whole thing. And obviously Elijah didn't, requested a trade, didn't like his usage. And Michael Carter seemed like he didn't like his usage and wasn't the biggest fan that they brought in another running back and Breece Hall, even though obviously those two get along. It's not their relationship. I just think that they both, it seems like, just from the outside looking in, body language wise, I think they both felt really good about, we had really nice rookie years. This team's going to get so much better. We're going to be the number one back. We're going to be the number one receiver. And obviously Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson kind of, took that shine a little bit. Again, these guys are hyper competitive. It's not, not blaming them in any way, shape or form. It just, the tweets the last hour or so feel very much like, 12 months ago, I was, our running back 1, and I was looking forward to it. Now it's like, not only did we draft somebody else, but now we're looking at Zeke, and receiver wise, it's like, oh, we're signing Lazard and McCole Hardman and Odell. Like, what happened to me? These things happen. I just think that, look, people can like it or not. You can, you search it on Twitter. People, when you go all in a championship window, which is what the Jets are doing, there's likely 2, maybe 3-year window. Maybe it's 1. Who really knows? Rodgers, by the way, did say 12 months ago that he is planning on playing at least 2 more years, or at least 3 more years. So if you go back to I don't know if things have changed. Obviously,
yes, right.
It seems like his tone and maybe injuries and all these different things, but he did say it on PMT with Big Cat. I'll send you the clip so you can aggregate.
Please do. Yeah, I had not heard that.
He's like, I'm going to play at least 3 years, maybe 4, and this was a year ago, so that would be 2 more years. This year and another. But if you go all in, sometimes when you bring in a veteran quarterback, they bring some of their guys with you. Like that's just what happened. Look at Tampa Bay, right?
Right.
They drafted Ronald Jones, and Ronald Jones was going to be the guy. And then Leonard Fournette's there, and Shady McCoy, I'm pretty sure, was there at one point. And like all these, right? And tight end, same thing. They get draft OJ Howard, and it's like, oh, boom, here's Gronk and Cameron Brate, and all. So that's what these things do happen. Someone always, there's only so many times, so many footballs to throw around, and so many roster spots. So I don't really make too much of it. Like, do I think that the Jets got elite value for Elijah Moore? No. Do I think that they got ripped off? No, I don't think that either. If the Jets don't end up getting another receiver, I think you're looking at it going, are they a little still light? Like they're good, but are they great? Maybe not. He's a controllable asset. You drafted him. He had some nice moments. maybe things should just be on reproach. Maybe things that, maybe they couldn't really fixed it as much as they could, and Elijah still wasn't content. I don't know this. It seemed, maybe it just,
Sure, right.
well, maybe it was a line that couldn't come back from. Again, I think, would you have loved to maybe keep the third rounder and you swap fourth rounders for second rounders? Sure. But in the grand scheme of things, if you were at pick, whether it was 74 and you were trying to trade up to 40 to 42, you couldn't just throw a fourth rounder at them. Obviously, you need to give more value, right? So, look, I think, it's been pointed out they need a center badly. They probably need another offensive tackle. They need a defensive tackle. They need a safety. If you can knock out two of those needs, and look, if the Jets can go offensive line at 13, get a tackle and figure it out, and they draft a center at 42 or 43, and the other pick goes for Rodgers, and now you have this really young, really awesome offensive line with 3 of the 5 guys on rookie deals. Now, even in 2 years when Aaron Rodgers retires and hopefully the Jets win a Super Bowl and all these different things, your offensive line's still good for the next guy, right? There's just a lot of moving pieces here. So, again, is it disappointing the way it ended with Elijah? I don't blame the Jets 100%. I don't blame Elijah more 100%. I just think bad quarterback play. He got injured a bunch. He's he played it outside and inside, but he's probably more of an inside guy. And the Jets were really small, and Garrett Wilson's usage is going to be very different this year. More of what you saw where I know this was pointed out on Badlands, I believe, but you look at Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, all these different guys who can play inside, outside, Devontae. So long-winded way of saying I wouldn't make too much of a deal of Michael Carter's tweets. I think, he's probably frustrated, but it's a great way to become less frustrated is go into training camp and, and ball out, and all of a sudden, take those reps away from Zeke if he even comes here. So, I think the Jets having more talent than not is definitely a good thing, no matter how you kind of decipher it.
100%. And then another thing that was interesting, it was also on Badlands. Again, give them all the love in the world. They are fantastic. For the first time, really probably in social media land that I've seen it, podcast or otherwise, they mentioned that Michael Carter could be on the bubble. And then I went, no. And then I went, well, you add, and they didn't know about the Zeke news, obviously, about the recording of the podcast. But you start to figure out the pieces, and you're like, man, there is a realistic world if you start adding things in here that he could easily find himself on the way out. And they prognosticated maybe Ty Johnson would come back, and it's official earlier today. So maybe that does indeed happen. Let's transition from that receiver to another one. It is hot and heavy. Things are getting sexy. I don't know what base we're on in terms of the dating world between one OBJ and the Jets, Will, but it is incredibly aggressive. These two are I think something's going to happen. I think the rest of us are looking in the room with some raised eyebrows going, with some OBJ Jets. Is this as real as you're hearing? Because Connor Hughes, Rich Cimini this morning, Jeff Darlington obviously came out as well, and he expects the deal to get done. Some predictions Zach Rosenblatt predicted last night on his podcast. He believes it's going to come to fruition. Is this real? Is this going to happen? And by the way, OBJ, Elijah Moore, that's a significant upgrade for the New York Jets with OBJ's impressive track record, which has also rubbed a few Jet fans wrong way when I've said that, but it's gosh darn true, people. Just get a friggin' clue. Watch some tape, okay? Hit the Google machine, perhaps, okay? But anywho, it's either here or there. OBJ Jets, you think it's happening? I
think it does happen. It just kind of seems like that's the big name veteran. DeAndre Hopkins, I said it a couple months ago. I didn't know they were going to get Alan Lazard. So I just feel like to get another big body receiver, yes, it makes sense. You do still have Corey Davis. There was an interesting report today from Boomer Esiason that not only is Rodgers going to take this big pay cut to come here, or will be surprised by his salary, but Corey Davis might not actually be going anywhere at all, and they're still going to get Odell. Okay. So who knows? If Corey Davis is your wide receiver 4 or 5, you're in a pretty good situation. Again, I still don't know if that happens. I don't know how they make the money work, but
yeah,
Odell can play inside, can play outside, can be a vertical threat. They don't need him to do a ton. I think he needs to just be, can you get 2 big plays a game, and can you get 5 for 60 and a touchdown every other game from Odell? I don't think that's asking for, or 5 for 50. And, some games he's 4 for 100, some games he's 2 for whatever. I just think that Odell scares defenses still. I still do. You looked at the Super Bowl, look at the Rams playoff run.
Of course.
And then when he went out in that Rams playoff in the Super Bowl, the second he tore his ACL, the Rams went from, are they going to score in every drive, to they literally couldn't score for the next 2 quarters, and then Cooper Kupp kind of went superhuman for a drive. But yeah, I think look, Odell's another guy who like you feel like he's like 35. He's just turned 30, which makes no sense. I think
Yes.
he's a
Yeah.
2014
Crazy.
draft class, right? So yeah, 9 years and
That's
8, 9 years in
correct.
the league.
12th overall pick.
Calvin Breyer. Shout out to Calvin
The
Breyer.
Louisville Slugger. Come on, man. Come on.
But
Idzik
yeah,
12 draft, wasn't that? Ugh,
yeah.
gross.
I rode the airplane with John Idzik a couple weeks ago. That was pretty funny. Coming back from the combine.
Oh, we'll have to hear that story. How did that go?
But forgot he still worked in the league. And but no, like
Jaguar still?
No, I don't even know. I think he's doing some consulting with with the actual
let me
league.
Google
whatever.
that. Yeah. Go ahead. You keep going.
No, look, I just think Odell. I'm sure Odell's healthy. He has to be healthy at this point. The ACL was 13, 14 months ago. It doesn't seem like the money's going to be crazy. I'm sure it'll be a 1-year deal, heavily incentive based on team performance and yardage and all that different stuff. So, look, it's not going to be a 3-year, $60 million deal. I mean, maybe it is, and it's all really a 1-year deal. It's like the Von Miller deal that was 6 for 130, but it's really a 3-year deal. Maybe it's something like that where, the Jets balloon up the deal and it's a bunch of void years or it's a bunch of kind of, fake years. I don't know. Maybe that's the way they get around the cap number. Who knows? But I think it's going to be Garrett Wilson, Lazard, Hardman, Odell, and then the wide receiver 5. Maybe it's Corey Davis if they don't trade him or cut him. Maybe it's Mims. Maybe it's they draft the guy. Maybe they bring in another veteran, and maybe it's Randall Cobb. But I think that room's going to be really talented, and Odell is just another game breaker that can stretch the field along with McCole Hardman, and then let Lazard, Garrett Wilson, and those tight ends work in the intermediate and short game.
Yeah, I think you may have mentioned this earlier, but I just didn't see it, so I don't think I could have reacted properly. Antoine Staley, our good buddy of the New York Daily News, shared the screenshot of Breece Hall. So we heard Michael Carter reacting to the Elijah Moore stuff, but this one from Breece Hall, I think we good over here and that's Michael Carter's handle. How about you? He deleted that tweet in response likely to the Ezekiel Elliott stuff. Oof. I don't know if, GMs, coaches and stuff make decisions based on kind of the read, like, we don't want this guy, but like, yikes. I mean, that's a little, I don't know if it's just Breece because of, he thinks he's going to be good on the ACL or not, but man, he going to Twitter because guys can do that instantly. Of course, internet is forever. Do you make anything of that? And again, it's not an official signing. It's just rumors. And the Jets are among the finalists for Ezekiel Elliott. But does this bother you at all if the Jets bring him in and there could be any beef here or no?
I think guys get emotional and they just go right to Twitter. And that's just like the easy thing to do. I think if it was not deleted, and maybe, I don't know. I just think that maybe it was like, hey, I got my boys back. He's in the locker room, like trying to support him a little bit. And then like, of course, it spirals as everything normally does.
Yeah, right.
But no, I just don't I don't know.
Okay.
It's more fun. Okay. I think it's more like fun stuff where like it goes both ways, right? The burning of a cheese head online is funny. And then the opposite of it is, things like that. So I wouldn't make too big of a deal of it, but yeah, I mean, look, I think, I don't think that a guy like Michael Carter is going to be thrilled that if they sign a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, but I also think I also think competition's always good. Bringing another guy in the room is always good. And at the end of the day, again, guys get hurt. There's a million things that happen. You always can never have too much talent and never have too many bodies in the room, especially early on in the year.
Let me ask you, the Jets have been doing a lot of swinging, but not making a lot of contact. And by the way, I am not offended by it or anything. I've noticed some other Jet fans are. For instance, they apparently ran, according to Jeremy Fowler, at Orlando Brown, who got mega money from the Bengals. Fletcher Cox, of course, got relatively good money, about Sheldon Rankins-ish money from the Philadelphia Eagles. He took a little less to stay. And then there's Jake Brendel was another one of the 49ers. Like, although Brendel doesn't really have the name value as the other two do, what does that say to you, Will, that they are just freaking like going wild all in? And like, it's interior defensive line, offensive tackle, like it's all over the place. Or is there like some method to the madness here that they have this plan to go get insert big name guy? Because I mean, those are some Fletcher Cox. I mean, that raises eyebrows. I met Fletcher Cox at Mississippi Airport once, really nice guy. And then you go to, some of the Orlando Brown, that was mega money. What does that say to you, if anything, those kind of rumored attractions by the Jets this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they're going to need to get at least a body, if not two bodies, at defensive tackle. Obviously, they're going to extend Quentin Williams. He's a superstar. Yes. No one's saying he's not before anyone gets all emotional. I've seen that. I suggested they need defensive tackle. Like, we have Quinnen. I'm like, well, they play 2 of them. So Solomon Thomas is at best your defensive tackle 4. I know they like JFM on third downs inside. He's not going to play first and second down inside because then you take away. I mean, as much as Jermaine Johnson's good against the run, like there's just a million things going on. So I would say maybe they sign one, draft one. Maybe that's a strategy they go with. Maybe try to develop a day 3 guy that can come in and be more of an impact early rundown guy. And maybe they sign somebody they think can do a good job. I know the Calais Campbell thing, that'd be really cool. Calais Campbell's still a really good player. Then maybe you draft somebody to develop behind him, and then whoever they draft in Quinnen or year 2 going to next year. So I just think once the Rodgers domino falls officially, you're seeing it more on offense. They're kind of obviously stacking the roster, and he's going to be a Jet. It's just defensively, there'll be a couple of the other veterans. Maybe it's a Calais Campbell. Maybe it's a couple of defensive guys who kind of hop on the ring chasing bandwagon, as we've seen again with the Bucs, the Rams, other teams like that, where they kind of, as we get closer to camp, those guys don't want to do OTAs. So we saw with Quan last year. That was the whole thing. Everyone's like, oh, why aren't they signing him? It's like, you think Quan wants to in year 8 do OTAs? No chance.
Come on.
He'll enjoy his summer. Yeah. He'll be there day 1 of camp. So that would make a lot of sense.
A couple of quickies before we get you out of here. Well, Aaron Rodgers, you mentioned it. When the hell does it happen? I think we all know it's going to happen. We fully accepted that. I celebrated like nobody's business with the Pat McAfee stuff. Like, again, I celebrate because he's coming. But when is he coming? Is it the draft? Is it the NFL owners meetings? I've floated that out a few times with all the guys, everybody there in person. Maybe that's the pivot point. That'll be the 26th to the 29th out there in Arizona. Is it the draft? When do you say Will Parkinson?
I said on the pod yesterday, Saturday at 8:00 at night, I'm going to stick with that, although I don't think anyone's in any hurry. The draft does make a lot of sense. Look, if the Packers want to wait till after the draft, the Jets are going to just, be able to use 3 top 50 picks. So I don't know why you'd do that. If you're the Jets, obviously you'd like to get it done. They're not in a rush, but obviously you'd like to get it done, kind of solidify a lot of these different things, know where your needs are, know what picks you have. If you're the Packers, I feel like the draft, you have to get it done before then. I get that they gain leverage, quote unquote, if they wait till after, but you're also not getting any picks this year. So I don't know why you would do that. Right. Again, I think it happens in the next, I said Saturday, but I think it happens in the next 7 to 10 days here. I just don't see, eventually there's going to be a point, like with all these different signings, even if you look at Zeke, he was like, he'll decide by the end of next week. I'm sure he's waiting to see where Rodgers goes, right? Because if Rodgers goes there, maybe he goes to the Jets. And if he doesn't, he's obviously not going to come to the Jets to play with Zach Wilson. So I just think I'd say within the next week, and I do think in the next couple of days we get an answer here, because it's gotten really quiet on every side, and there's just like a lot of steam around all these other players, and then we've heard nothing on Rodgers. And this was, what you said that 8 days ago, 9 days ago now. Mm-hmm. I think it's 8 days ago. So I feel like we're going to get something here pretty shortly. So I'll stick with Saturday at 8. It's a long-winded way of saying that.
All right, there you go. Will, 7 to 10 business days for those counting at home. That could be it for that. Will, before we get you out here, actually, it blanked my mind because we've had so much news. Mecole Hardman. So he is the first domino that kind of started everything yesterday. An elite speedster, 4.33, 40-yard dash at the combine, although he didn't really develop as a second-round pick that I'm sure the Chiefs would have liked, but 16 touchdowns, 4 years. I mean, a Pro Bowl return, man. I mean, there's a lot to like there. What say you? What was your reaction for what looks like a massive upgrade over Braxton Berrios? I don't really think that's a replacement for Elijah Moore. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speed on this Jets roster. There's nobody that's quite as fast. Maybe there is. I don't know, maybe some of the guys will disagree, and there's somebody else. But Mecole Hardman's really damn fast, and he's electric in the return game. He was a second-team All-Pro guy, as a rookie, Pro Bowler. Missed half the year last year. I know there was some talk of his numbers dipping. He missed half the year, so that would make sense. I was like a 605 touchdown, 45 catch guy with the Chiefs is like a third option. If he can produce those type of numbers with the Chiefs, you would hope that, maybe with the Jets, he's their wide receiver 4, more gadget guy, but he's an explosive guy. Aaron Rodgers obviously loves to throw the go ball. So, go watch the play against the Titans. Everyone has an angle on him, yet he's untouched for 70 yards. So if you get 4 or 5 of those next year between the return game and the pass game, that deal looks very cheap as well. It looks like it's going to be, I think it was 1 year, $6.5 million, but like it said
max,
max. And it was probably, which means it's probably like 1 for 3 with a bunch of incentives. So Look, you said the Jets are a really enticing option with a lot of weapons. I think that look, Tyreek Hill was obviously heavily recruiting him. That would have been a nightmare to have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and McCole Hardman on one roster. So thankfully, the Jets took him, and Miami stayed far away.
100%. So, wow. Again, a lot of big time news and more news coming, I'm sure. Will, thanks for taking some time. And of course, before we get you out of here, again, we got 31,000 New York Jet fans watching on our Facebook page. Of course, 4,000 subscribers strong. Like the video, hit the subscribe, baby, of course, and show that support. But also, Will, what do you got cooking, baby?
Yeah, we got. I have a pod out tomorrow. My brother will be on. He was with me at the combine. He covers the Jets. He covers the NFL for the 33rd team. He does a lot of draft stuff there. So he'll be on next week. The next couple of weeks, both Connor Hughes, Rodgers will be on. We'll get some players. There'll be some players on as well. Kyle Brandt, Mike Giardi, a couple other names. Obviously, depending on how this Rodgers news goes, we'll kind of change some things around. But we'll get a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff cooking, so that'll be out. There's also, I don't know if everyone's seen it, like the tic-tac-toe NFL stuff on TikTok. If you haven't, we'll be doing a Jets one tomorrow, me and Joe Caparoso, so that should be some lighthearted fun before the weekend.
I think we all need it. Look at Will with the flex. Boom, 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 boom. He's brought the guns out, baby. You love to see it. Also, make sure you follow him on Twitter at WillPot11. Will, thanks for checking in, man, and I'm sure we'll do this again very soon.
Thanks so much, man. Take care.
There he is, Will Parkinson, our New York Jets guy, joining us here on the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.